Leo, this month for you is about home, family, changes on that front and the deep connections that you have there. Hi Leo, so your reading for March 2018. We start the month off with a really lovely trine for you, which is actually in your work houses. You know I mentioned home and family at the beginning of the video, but it's actually to do with your money and your career and your status. And this is with this full moon in Virgo. Okay, now we've got two full moons this month, so we've got a blue moon again. But this full moon trines with Saturn in your 6th house, right? Saturn who's trying to get you to structure up your daily routine, your health habits, to bring more stability to work, okay, and perhaps even a lot more ambition. And he's trining with the asteroid of success, Pallas Athena, in your 10th house. So this could see you starting the month out with some really good news. It could be promotional, it could be a raise, it could be an opportunity of some sort. I mean, you know, you'll have to tell me how it plays out, but there's opportunity here at the beginning of the month. And it could be something you set into motion last month, which comes into fruition, and you're suddenly, you know, getting the fruits from your labor. So that's a really, really great positive energy there. We've got a lot of Neptunian energy as we start out the month, okay? So it's a lot of Pisces energy going on, and this is in your 8th house. We've got all of these personal planets. We've got the Sun there, Mercury there, Venus there. We've got Neptune there as well, in your 8th house, in Pisces. So there's this very watery, emotional, sensitive energy. Now this is great for healing, and for a lot of you, I think you'll be dealing with either issues of shared finances, shared resources. It could be with a partner, it could be with a business partner, it could be with an ex, that kind of thing. It could be with family. And if it's not shared resources, it might be shared values, it might be things that are slightly more intangible. But there will be a theme, especially at the beginning of the month, of things that are shared, and things that are shared between people who you are close with and intimate with, okay? And with Jupiter retrograding in your 4th house this month, the 4th house being about home, family, real estate. Certainly for you, the themes are going to be real estate, shared resources, shared values, my family, those who are close to me. And there are going to be things here, there are going to be developments, and there are going to be things to perhaps work on, go over, but there's also opportunity here for forgiveness. So at the beginning of the month, for the first 7 days, all the planets are still direct. So this is still a really good time to be seeing things through, to be pushing things forward. It's on the 8th that, before that, on the 6th, Mercury and Venus go into your 9th house in Aries, and it's on the 8th that Jupiter in Scorpio starts to retrograde. Okay, so for you, Scorpio rules your 4th house, and Jupiter retrograding here is going to affect you guys in different ways depending on obviously your chart and you know what time you're born and what's going on with you. So for some of you, if you've been say having plans to expand your home, to buy a new home, to renovate, anything like that to do with the home and building and construction and buying and selling, there may be delays. There may be things that need to be looked over again. It may be that plans need to be worked over. It may be that something comes up that slows down the process of the sale. It could very well be that you know, you're looking to expand, or you know, what do I want to say? What's it called when you add rooms and things onto your house? I can't remember the word now. Extend? I can't remember. But anyway, you're looking to expand the home, and something comes up as a result, and you have to work with it. Now the thing is, you know, that's a possibility, and if so, I would say just go with the energy and be as thorough as you can, because Jupiter is asking us to go deep and to be thorough, especially in Scorpio, which is a very deep sign. So it's asking us to be thorough about matters. So if you're thorough in what you're doing, especially if it relates to construction, building, anything like that, renovating, then by the end of this roughly 4-month process, your results will be even better than they could have been had you not had you not stumbled across that hurdle. So it can work out in that sense, in a very physical sense. And Jupiter is making a lot of trines, or making 3 trines to the personal planets in your 8th house in the first part of the month. So there's opportunity here for If some of you are dealing with inheritances, shared resources, that kind of thing, there's opportunities for agreements which actually leave both parties feeling good and positive, okay? So there is some good energy going on here. On a more spiritual and emotional level, on a more kind of, relating level and personal level, this is also about you. This might see you looking at matters of home and family, and maybe something might come along that kind of throws a spanner in the works of your home dynamics. It could be that you have to take in a parent or somebody who's not well. It could be that you have to take in somebody who, maybe a niece or a nephew or something like that, and this upsets the normal family dynamic for a little while. But there's great healing to be had here, and especially with this Neptunian energy, like I said, that we've got going on in the first half of the month. Neptune is about forgiveness. It can be very healing, so this could be really lovely energy for that, but you just have to be prepared that your family dynamics may get disturbed somewhat. This is also a really good time for healing the past, any wounds connected with your childhood, because the fourth house also rules our past and our childhood and our genealogy. So if there are conversations that need to happen with family members, if there's forgiveness that needs to be had, this is a really, really great time for that. That Piscean energy. Jupiter is a very forgiving planet as well, so this can be a really good time for healing traumas, healing wounds between family members, or wounds just, that you carry without maybe having to discuss it. But healing them on a personal level, because Jupiter is asking you to change your perspective, change your outlook in terms of home and family. Now, whether that plays out on a physical level, as in you literally have to change the look of the home because something comes up, or whether it's changing the way you view your past, or the way you view your family, the way you view your childhood. It could be something like that. But there's a lot of wisdom that can come from this, and I think, you'll find after this period when Jupiter starts to go direct, there's a feeling of, it's almost like, oh, I feel so much lighter, because Jupiter is about higher knowledge and wisdom, and it's these kinds of revelations. It's very revelatory energy. I don't know if I just made that up. It's very revelatory energy. So you could find yourself having moments of like, oh wow, aha, I suddenly get why I've always felt this way. It's because this and that happened in my past, and now I can finally release it, and I'm over it. So it's very, very healing. So I really like this. This could bring long lost family members, especially from abroad and from other countries, suddenly into the picture, because retrograde planets can bring things back. So this could have family members from abroad moving back home, and maybe that's what the adjustment period is that you experience in the home. It can play out in a number of ways, and I'd be really interested to know how it plays out for you guys. So we've got that going on, and then we've got a new moon happening in your eighth house, which is, like I said, ruled by Pisces. So this is good energy for, like I said, it's good energy for having a new take on how you approach your shared resources, how you approach intimacy, how you approach your partner's money, how you approach things between you and your family, and then like a nice fresh start energy. So that's what I like about this. It's a good time to kind of leave the past behind and move forward with fresh energy. And on the same day, Mars enters Capricorn and goes into your 6th house, where you've got Saturn and you've got Pluto. And Saturn here is working, he's saying he wants you to bring structure into that day-to-day routine, to your health habits. He wants organization, because if we are, and I'm listening to so many videos about this at the moment, if we set up our days right, if we set up our mornings to win, then if we set up our mornings, just the mornings, first round of the morning, to win, right, then the day ends up being a good, successful day. Then the weeks end up being successful, then so do the months and the years. So Mars is going into this house for you now. Now this can see you, I will warn against trying not to burn yourself out, being either overly physically active or having so much to do that it's just overwhelming and you end up, burning out. Plan. Saturn wants you to plan. Saturn likes organization. He likes commitment. He likes discipline. He likes repeated effort. But Saturn is not about giving it my all one day and then doing nothing the next. So use that Martian energy and just channel it, you know, let out so much one day and then so much the next day. Don't allow yourself to burn out. But this can see you putting a lot of energy into the day-to-day routine, really now feeling like, I want to structure this, I want to get on top of this, I want to get on top of this health condition, or even, you know, this also rules work as well. So this can see you really putting a lot of energy into the company that you work for. But once again, I would just say guard against what am I trying to say? Burnout. Okay, and just watch out if you're exercising for not getting too vigorous, because you don't want to end up injuring yourself or hurting yourself. Okay, it's about keeping things in balance and being consistently disciplined. All right. So on the 20th is when the Sun enters Aries and it goes into your 9th house, and Mercury and Venus entered Aries on the 6th. So you see now the energy is starting to shift into your 9th house of expansion and growth, going from that 8th house of intimacy, shared resources, taxes, death, rebirth, psychology. Now he's going to the 9th house, and you're going to be wanting to, I think you're going to be feeling quite, I see you feeling quite ambitious about growth, ambitious about expanding your horizons, and feeling quite driven to see, feeling quite driven to action a plan in terms of where are we going, where are me and my family going, where are me and my partner going, where am I going career-wise, where am I going, you know, in terms of my life and my goals. Now this could see you looking into travel and higher education, those kinds of things, and expanding your knowledge. This could see you looking into spirituality and what else do I want to say? And this could also bring about legal matters as well. But just you know, I just want you to be aware that although you've got this impetus to grow and to have travel and adventure and to expand, which is fantastic, remember that Jupiter is doing that work in the 4th house, and he's asking you to think about not just work, not just the big plans, but also to do the inner work to make sure that you have the inner resources to be prepared for the opportunities that it is that you want. Because it's one thing to say we want this and we want that, but if we're not prepared, then it's hard for us to receive it. And preparation doesn't just mean working for something. Preparation also means being emotionally prepared. So if you are doing the healing traumas, healing wounds to do with your family and whatever, that kind of thing, or if you're doing the work on the house that needs to be done, even though, you know, it's a pain in the ass and you weren't expected to have to do it, if you're taking care of those kinds of things, the things that are more behind the scenes, whilst also taking care of your grander plans, then you're working more in balance. But we can't just move. This is why the planets go retrograde, so that we don't just brush over things, you know. It's so we get a deeper understanding and we have a fuller experience of life ultimately. So on the 31st is when we have the full moon in Libra, okay, so that's in your 3rd house. So this is the house of communication, short distance travel, learning, reading, writing, siblings. Be wary of, or just to be aware of being sensitive to other people, because this could be a bit of a funny time, this full moon. Full moons tend to bring things to fruition and combinations, and there is a bit of energy of like people being very emotionally sensitive this month, and people being inclined to depression or escapism, people wanting to perhaps fall into the victim mentality too easily. So be aware of that. At this full moon, you know, it is going to be squared by Saturn, and it's going to be opposing Mercury. Mercury goes retrograde on the 23rd, I forgot to mention, sorry. He goes retrograde in your 9th house on the 23rd. So any travel plans you may have, make sure you double check over them. Any plans you have to expand, do you see whether there's a pattern here, isn't there? So, you know, Jupiter in the 4th house is saying if you're thinking about expanding your home or expanding the family, make sure that you've just thought about everything properly. Mercury retrograding in that 9th house is like any plans for expansion, travel, higher learning, make sure you've read up properly, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, make sure that the plans are, you know, accurate and in place. So he's going to be retrograding and squaring off with and opposing that full moon. So I think there could be issues potentially here when it comes to communication, with definitely communication. Just watch out for communication around those days. If you sent a really important email, double check that it did actually leave your outbox. You know, if somebody comes back at you a little bit strange, just kind of explain don't try not to react, and just explain yourself as clearly as you can, because it could be just a misunderstanding and people are feeling a bit, you know, a bit fiery. At this full moon, what we really need is to think about partnership, okay? It's in Libra, it's about partnership, it's about the win-win, and we need to be mindful of the feelings of others and the feelings of ourselves as well, okay? Also on the same day, Venus goes into your 10th house, so she goes into your career sector, the outer world, your public image, which is going to make you a lot more. This can bring blessings, gifts. It can give the effect of being smiled upon, basically, when it comes to your public image and receiving accolades. But we'll get more into that next month. But with that full moon, I just want to say, make sure that you're presenting yourself clearly, diplomatically and fairly, and just be mindful that people could be a bit touchy around this time. At the same time, it could play out as a really nice and kind of fulfilling time to be with, like, siblings, you know, brothers and sisters. But more than anything, I think we should be, especially for you, Leo, because it's in the communication sector, and Mercury's retrograde and he's opposing it, I would say be very careful about communication. You know, dot your I's and cross your T's. Okay, thank you so much for watching, Leo. Now on to your tarot section.